Good movie buddy, this is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text that I love. It was written in the 6th century BC, presumably by a guy Lao Tzu. And that text I have been using for over 20 years to help guide me to living a more reasonable life. I like to present it to people as an option for sort of looking at and trying to perceive things differently. And what I mean when I talk about living a reasonable life is meaning allowing things to be kind of as they are and me be as I am. I was talking to someone yesterday about the idea of living under the influence. Both he and I were sober. I didn't know he was sober. He had double-digit years, and as most of you know, come the 14th, I will have 24 years. And we were talking about, when you're born, you live under the influence of your parents, and then you live under the influence of others, and you live under the influence of your peers and your teachers and the culture that you happen to be growing up in, and all of those sorts of things. Anything that's particular, within your culture, within your family, within your surroundings, that's not necessarily what you are. That's not your purpose. That's not your place. That just happens to be your surroundings, and you're having experiences, and those experiences that you're having deep down without the influence is who you are. And that's what Tao tries to get us to moving into a sense of like, hey, this experience that we're having is particular, but I am having this, but I am something deeper than that. It's not particular. It is truth. Like I'm having this true experience as I am. And because I am having this experience, how I define it is all part of my subjective individual experience, right? And so when I can do that, when I can drop the influence, which means being able to become aware of the influence first, that's by looking around and saying, this is how I'm experiencing this thing. Let's see what number we come up with today, and we'll read a chapter. And what I do is I invite you to come up and chat with me about about what's going on in your life today. And then I'll ask you to pick a number between 1 and 81, and then when you do, we'll break down that number of the Tao, and we'll see if it has any insight for how you can address your day and address what's going on in your life. So I went with the random number generator today, and I picked number 70. It's titled These Teachings. And the title doesn't give us much to go off of other than it's going to talk about the things that the Tao is teaching, the things that the Tao is talking about. It's interesting. It was written in the 6th century BC. And so when we think about it was written so long ago, we didn't have all of the writing that we have today when it was written. I don't think the original text had titles. I think they were just numbered. If numbers existed at all in the original text. Maybe it was just, here's a page, here's another page, here's another page of these concepts, 81 pages. And we just numbered them because they were organized in that way, maybe by Lao Tzu or maybe after Lao Tzu. We can't know. And that's why I don't really kind of focus on the history of the Tao Te Ching as a text. I just look at the text because we can only pretend we know what's going on. And even if it was written down, we don't know if that's actually true or how we're translating it is actually true. And so when I utilized the text and the multitude of texts that I use to create my translation or rendition of the Tao Te Ching, I tried to get out of my own way and tried to understand what it was this text was trying to get at, what it was that was trying to reveal to us. And so this number 70, these teachings, reads, "These teachings are simple and transform lives, yet mere intellect can't grasp them. These teachings are older than life and benefit all things, yet people prefer the manifestation. Very few people will ever truly understand what is written herein, but for those few, these pages will guide them to themselves. Meanwhile, they will be labeled as coarse and uncaring. In the manifestation, they are seen as dull and disinterested, yet in their heart shines a light for all things." So in my journey to aligning with Tao, whatever that means, to living a life led by these concepts, led by these words, led by what I understand this text to be saying, I have found that people often see me as uncaring. And I say outright, I don't care. I love you, but I don't care about the particulars because I love you. I don't care if you're upset. I don't care if you're having a hard time. I don't care if you're sick. Of course, I care about you, and I care about you the same no matter what state you're in. And that can feel uncaring because I'm not investing more when you feel like you need more. And maybe I am, but it might not be enough. When I talk to people in treatment programs, I tell them all the time, look, I don't care about your addiction. I don't care if you want to go out and use. Please go out and use if that's what you want to do. Know that you're not going to be able to manipulate me by your using. And if you are going to go use, then that's a choice you're making. And I understand that we can talk about it as a disease. I don't believe in that model, but we can talk about it as a disease. And you know, I have a diagnosis of MS that I have to take care of, and I don't expect, you know, other people to care about either. It's my responsibility, and I'm going to take care of it, just like I took care of my addiction and other things. This isn't that tough love sort of conversation. This isn't that idea of like, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and blah, blah, blah. It's really actually great when people don't care, because then I have less ability to manipulate. If I could manipulate people to care for me, when my MS kicks in and I can no longer walk, and people probably will, or either I'll have to pay them or I'll have people loving enough to care for me. But if I were to know that that was available to me at any point, well, then why stick to my diet? My diet's hard, right? I mean, I love my diet and all of these things, but why take care of myself at all then? If I know that it's not going to be my responsibility to take care of myself, why not allow other people to take care of me and just not care for myself, right? I can just sit in bed and I can be bedridden for the rest of my life and you know, just be a victim to my state and then a victim to everybody around me that isn't pulling their weight or isn't being manipulated by my situation. Right? And then what would I do to those people that weren't good? I'd label them as coarse and uncaring. And in the manifestation, they'd be seen as dull and disinterested. And that's often the case for me. You know, I was talking to a group of mine. I have this mindfulness-based stress reduction group I meet with on Thursday afternoons. And we talked, and one of the people were like, you know, I'm realizing that I was at a party and everyone was having a good time and I was the only one that just wasn't interested. Like I was there. I wasn't unhappy. I just wasn't interested. And it's like, yeah, we become boring. We become boring because it's all the same. No matter what, it's all the same. Like this, yeah, it's particular, at this moment, and this particular thing is going well for you or whatever, or you're having a good time and you're drinking and talking and eating and indulging and indulging and indulging. But those are all particulars. And there was a story of a monk once who was offered mango lassi and I don't know if I heard this from Dr. Rao here on this, or if it was in another venue somewhere. But there was a monk. His space made these amazing mango lassis, and because I guess part of they grew their own mangoes or whatever in that space, or he was proud of it and all of this, and he gave it to the visiting monk or the visiting speaker or whatever. And the speaker or monk or whoever it was, took a sip of it, put it down, and didn't drink any more. And when he came to collect the glass, he was like, "Oh, did you not like it?" He was like, "No, it was very good. It was very delicious. Thank you so much." I was just like, "Well, you didn't drink it." And I was just like, "Oh, no, I had enough." This idea that you can enjoy something for what it is. This is like those Oreo cookies that I talk about sometimes. Like, you can have one Oreo cookie and be like, "Oh, yes," and that's enough. Or you can have 2 or 3, but at some point you're going to think, "I don't like that I'm doing this." You've had enough, and yet you continue to indulge. Now I think this is because we live under the influence. We're living under the influence of other things, and it's hard to... It takes a lot of energy to live under the influence of other things. We give up bits of ourselves. And what this verse, this number 70, talks about, right? These teachings are simple and transform lives, yet mere intellect cannot grasp them. I don't think it's every day, but often I get people coming up trying to understand what Tao is saying, trying to make sense of this text. The text was written in a time when logic was young. Thus, writing existed, because before logic, there would be no need for writing. But today, logic has taken over everything. And in order for anything to be real, we have to understand it intellectually. We got to think about it. We got to understand it. We got to be able to talk about it. There's got to be a way we can phrase this in order for it to all make sense. The problem is that we don't, in logic, we don't have room for paradox. And life is full of paradoxes. And so here we have, this verse starts with, "These teachings are simple and transform lives, yet mere intellect cannot grasp them." You can't grasp what's being read in here. And if you do, and that's always a sign to me when I'm talking to someone that's just like, "Yes, I get it," and move on. Like, well, okay. It's a sign for me to just recognize that, like, all right, it will come. Like, it will dawn on them. Like, this is a 3,000-year-old text. This isn't something and in the text it tells us that, words are particular and you cannot grasp this by mere intellect alone. And when people claim that they get it, and then they're just like, "Oh yeah, it's like this," I'm always like, okay, that's good. That's good. And yes, some people may already be in that state. But the complexity that we're talking about here, it's not something that you can understand. It's something that you can be, and something that on a considered journey to understanding oneself, you will come across all of these teachings. You will come across everything that you see here that is written in the Tao, and you will understand it, not in a way that you can teach it, not in a way that you can explain it, but you will understand it for yourself. And the thing is everyone has to understand this information for themselves. There is no way you can understand this for someone else or teach someone else. You know, it's really interesting, even as I'm looking at this, why I decided to, you even use the word teachings. Maybe I don't recall making that decision, but these teachings are simple and transform lives. You know, like, they are teachings, yet mere intellect cannot grasp them. They're teachings and intellect cannot grasp them. But when we think about teaching, we think about this concept of learning through intellect. Then the next line, these teachings are older than life and benefit all things, yet people prefer the manifestation. These teachings are older than life. These were in place before any life, before any manifestation. These teachings are ways that we can live our lives, yet people prefer the manifestation. What in this case is the manifestation? It is all things that we experience. It's the particular that I was talking about earlier. It is the particular thing. People prefer the particular over this truth that is beyond everything, that our senses can perceive. Because these teachings, this which is within you, these teachings that you have, Tao, is older than life. That's within you. You have access to information that existed before the Big Bang. Yet mere intellect cannot grasp that. You know how your memory sometimes fails you? Your mind, your brain, the information that you can hold within your mind and have access to is limited. You know, that's why we're giving up some of our need to maintain all of that which we can hold on to by having artificial intelligence do it for us. You know, old philosophers used to be like, writing, I don't know, if you write something down, you don't have to remember it. And it's good to keep your mind active and remembering things. You know, like phone numbers. I mean, I'm old enough to know I had, you know, maybe over a dozen phone numbers like stored in memory. You know, I had my phone number, my best friend's phone number. I had like, you know, my girlfriend's phone number and my, you know, like all of these people that I would call, like my work phone number. I would be able to recite those. Now, without dialing anything ever, I don't need it. You know, now it's just pull up the name, but put it down. And I remember everybody around me had cell phones, but I still had a landline phone, so I was still using phone numbers, and I still remembered phone numbers, not really that long ago, maybe 20 years ago. And now I don't know anybody's phone number. Now that's good, like that opens up my brain to be still. That opens up neurons to get used for other things. I don't know that there is a limit. I mean, it seems like there's a limit to how many things one can remember, especially with quick recall, right? But that's all particular. That's the manifestation. That's all out here. Like, we have access to information that we've never learned, like in the manifestation. But it's within us. And there's constant information coming in, and we're constantly being engaged with information that we never learned, but somehow we know. I was talking to someone the other day. They mentioned a friend of mine. I got a text from them. That's the second time that happened with that one friend, right? My friend Tom asked me about my friend Amanda, and within 3 hours, I got a text from Amanda. And both times I was talking with Tom, I was like, oh yeah, I haven't talked to her that recently. So that's, that's one of the things. We know what's somehow. Randy, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good. Did you come up purposefully? Sometimes that happens accidentally.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
No problem. I can take you off, or we can chat a little bit about the Tao.
Oh my God. Hallelujah. You don't cast.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I'll just kind of take you off, and if you wanted to come back, 'cause I'm not exactly sure what you said. I'll take you off. If you want to come back, and we'll power through. Okay. So these teachings are simple and transform lives, yet mere intellect cannot grasp them. These teachings are older than life and benefit all things, yet people prefer the manifestation. Oh, Mary. Mary's going to join me. Hey, Mary, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Did you have to get another phone?
No. I reset this one, and because I'm not gonna do that to myself anymore. I'm not gonna keep getting another phone. I'm just done spending money that I don't have, because it's just Norbert working right now, and it's not fair to him. It's not okay, and he's busting his butt. And it's not okay. And, because it's not just me, this stuff affects like mental health wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And so it's about, and with all my journaling, man, there's just, because I've started doing that daily, you inspired me so much when you were like, you do it for 3 hours a day? Wasn't that it?
No, not 3 pages. 3 pages. It takes me less than 30 minutes.
I was like, wow, he does it 3 hours a day.
No. I nobody, like, I couldn't.
How dedicated.
That would be, I'm sure a lot would come up, but I don't even think there are probably authors that don't even write 3 hours a day.
Yeah, seriously. But because I couldn't remember if you said 3 hours or if you said 3 pages. So I knew it was
3 pages,
something
3
in
pages.
3.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's helped me work through some different feelings that I had about different things, and helped me realize that deep down, like, I had some changing to do, in the way that I viewpoint. But, that all comes with those cognitive distortions and how I feel about things and view things. And of course, it's not going to stop, it's total makeover. So, and there were some other reasons that I was going to, that I felt were healthier to not be on here right now. But then I was like, no, because they're, and I'll just say it briefly, were the constant trolling of the guys that are here. But I was like, no, I'm not going to let that.
Yeah. I don't know about that, obviously.
No, it's constant. But the thing is, there's so many easy ways, and I'm just one easy way, and I'll just put it out there very quickly because it's positive, because it'll help people, is if you check their homepage and they've got 1.5 thousand friends, no questions answered, and you look at those 1.5 thousand friends and 90% are women, don't. It's dead giveaway. Yeah. So, but, it's also something that I realized may have been contributing to some of the things that I went through because of why they're here. And so but that's not going to make me fear either.
Right.
I'm tired of fearing. Fearing
Good.
has no place in my life. Fearing
Good.
has no place in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not going to be the case. And I don't have to be Wonder Woman or Superwoman and tell these people off, that's not the case. I just need to do me,
Right.
be here for why I'm here. And that's for the people that I love and have, made friends with, and you're my bestie.
Aww.
And how can I stay away, right? I can't. There is a hole in my heart when I'm not here. And so am I going to let idiots keep me from the place that I love? My point of peace? The place where I can have amazing conversations that I need to stimulate my mind, because if my mind is not stimulated, do you know what happens?
Well, it's entertained.
Yeah.
In not so many words. I mean, it's entertained by its own trauma. It's entertained by its own story. It's entertained by its own.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
And so I cannot stay away from here. But if it's also, right, because there's always positive, negative, no matter where you are. You can get, have fear strike you walking into Walmart because there's always negative. There's negative energy no matter where we are.
Yeah.
It's our choice to dig into it. It's our choice to be affected by it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so I'm choosing not to. I'm choosing to no more use aliases. No more.
Good.
And because what happens then, it's having a worse effect on me, right? Because I don't have that stimulation. I don't have that peace in my mind or in my heart, right? And not only am I missing everybody so totally horribly, but then I don't have the wonderful, beautiful conversations that I have when I'm here.
Yeah, and everything has its both of its sides. I talk about that idea of surrendering to the fact that these things exist.
We've had that with my numbers, remember?
What's that?
We've had that. That was one of my numbers one time.
Yeah, but not submitting to the abuse that, block people, do whatever it is that you need to do. And you can even, call people out in terms of, reaching out to Noom and letting them know that these are the interactions that you've had and whatever, and, do whatever you can to make sure that this does remain safe, if that is something that you are inspired to do. If it's not, you do what you do. Do what you do, and, there are, and my guess is, what it feels like to connect with good people.
Oh, goodness, yes. The thing is for me is that I am a protector. I am an advocate. That is who I am. That is what my purpose in life is. And so that is what is the harder part for me. I just need to find a way to reframe that, right?
Right. So it would be easy to manipulate you as if somebody knew that, because all they would have to do is
poke my buttons.
Right. And if they knew that you're a protector, then you could be easily manipulated to do almost anything, because you just said your purpose is to be a protector. So as long as they came off as weak, or came off as being a victim, came off as being, as long as you believed that was the state that they were in, you'd be able to be manipulated, not only to hurt yourself, but even possibly hurt others.
Mm-hmm. No, you're correct. Yeah.
It's really important to understand that all of this bullshit about this is my purpose, that just makes you weak.
You're right. My purpose is to help people.
Your
but I
purpose
have
is
to
to
be
live.
very
That's
careful.
it. That's it. How you're living moment to moment may help people.
Mm-hmm.
You
How
may
I've always seen it,
also
though?
go on.
The way I've always seen it, though, is what is life without purpose? Then we're just meandering around, right? And
Whoa, whoa,
we're
whoa, whoa,
kind
whoa,
of
whoa, whoa, whoa,
lost.
whoa, 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 whoa. You are forgetting the fact that you are you. Where did you learn that your purpose was to help people? My guess it was because you felt good helping people.
Yes, that
Okay, well,
is,
stop.
that's one.
Like one sec.
Okay. Okay.
You learned it. So before you were given this blessing of purpose, you were already living it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Without
why?
realizing it.
Right. So is realizing it and defining it and identifying with it necessary?
No.
Okay. So don't identify. So the point is, if you identify with being helpful, you become weak and manipulatable.
Aha. Okay.
If you just live your life
Without announcing
just
it.
like you did before you defined it, you will find your purpose in your doing, in your living, in your being, without having to define it. Because if you think you're going to define your purpose today and you're going to say, okay, God, I got this. That's what you're saying, right? You're going to say, hey, God, I don't need you anymore. I defined my purpose. And you are stepping away from faith. You're stepping away from that which you love so dearly and saying, I can do it, which is arrogant. And you become weaker in the world because the world right now especially is trying to manipulate and get people to live under their influence from moment to moment. God doesn't want you to live under his influence. He just wants you to live and be.
You know what? And God, that just made it click for me. And I'm going to have to write this in my journal as soon as we're done. But it is, I am easily manipulated in that way, but there are times I manipulate myself because I've
you have an
defined it.
identity.
Yes.
Right,
And I
because you
feel
define it.
like, yeah. And that's where it's like, oh, okay, well, I see someone in need, and no matter how exhausted I am, is that I feel like, okay, this is my purpose. I have to help today.
Yeah. And God is trying to tell you, look, it's okay that people have need.
Mm-hmm.
It like, you are not, pick a number. Damn it.
20,
just pick a number.
all right, give me 1 minute. Let me think. Well, I don't want to think. I want to just let it come.
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. It's almost, I can feel.
Oh.
64.
Okay.
I don't like to force it. I want to just feel it,
64 is entitled, It's So Easy. It's easy to stop something before it is set into motion. It's easy to plan something before beginning it. It's easy to break something before it has grown strong. It's easy to hide something before it has grown big. Preventing problems has never been the problem. Tiny sprouts do this and grow to unimaginable heights, and every journey is started with the first easy step. Avoiding the easy is what has created all difficult problems. Rushing past the easy thing will end up costing you. Grasping onto the destination, you will lose sight of where you are. Forcing things to be what you want when you want will only turn those things against you. Therefore, the master monitors her desire for an outcome. She remains as calm at the beginning as at the end, so she can see what is in front of her. She embraces the mundane and doesn't prize rarity. Doing this, the master reminds those around her of who they have always been, and they are inspired. Caring about nothing but Tao, she cares for all things. You see, I mean, I think you can see that here, right? Like you can see how your identity, and one of the great lines in here, if I can find it really quick.
I complicate things.
Right. So avoiding the easy is what has created all difficult problems.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing past the easy thing will end up costing you. Grasping onto a destination, onto an identity. Mm-hmm. You lose sight of where you are, forcing things to be what you want, when you want. That's not your job.
Mm-mm. No.
And that will only turn things against you. Therefore, the master monitors her desire for an outcome. She remains as calm at the beginning as at the end, so she can see what's in front of her. That's the thing. What's in front of you is this. If you are able, and in the beginning when we talk about it's easy to stop something before it's set into motion. Like once you defined it, and then you defined it again, and then again, and then again, and then you solidify and cement yourself in this, and you told people, and then you have this bullshit comment of like, you need purpose. No, you don't. You found your purpose without it. So you were doing things that were aligned. You were doing things that were in your heart and in your soul and in your drive to be who you are. And you found yourself helping. And then you tore everything away for that. For that one little thing, that identity that you had to have. Now, that probably comes because you got rewarded for helping when you were a kid. You got rewarded for helping at school. You got rewarded for being helpful. So you identified with it. And you did not put attention into, and Mary, you dropped off. So if you want to come back, you can. You did not put any attention or focus or practice on not helping, on not by allowing people to help themselves, by allowing people to do what they needed to do. And because you didn't practice that, you're not good at it. And because you're not good at it, you can so easily get manipulated by just somebody being a lost soul, whether they're really a lost soul or if they're just trying to manipulate you to get something out of it.
You know, here's the thing is that when I was in school, nobody liked me. I was a kid that had, I had a couple of friends, but it was that I wasn't one of the popular kids. My mom didn't have money. I had secondhand clothes. I was quiet. I just wasn't part of the popular bunch. And so when I help people, which was just, it's natural, that was the one thing that I was good at. I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't good at, but my calling, my natural way of being was that.
Well, first of all, that's what you were told, or it was reiterated that you were good at because you got attention.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because, so if you didn't get attention anywhere else, so if you were to put more time into sport, you would be better at sport, but you didn't because it didn't have you didn't get praise for it.
Mm-hmm.
You got praise for helping people.
Yeah. Yep.
So you got rewarded for helping people.
Yep.
So you invested in this thing that you got praise for. That's what we all do. We think we're bad at sports because we were bad at them at one point and then stopped investing in it. We stopped practicing sport. Yep. We started to do things other than sport because, we're bad at it. Well, no, you're bad at it because you're fucking 4. If you, and then you get embarrassed because you're bad at it. You get yelled at because you're bad at it. And so you stop doing it. You stop practicing.
Right.
You get rewarded, patted on the back. You get a hug. You get told thank you when you help people. And then all of a sudden you think this is your purpose.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because other people are giving you praise.
Mm-hmm.
That's called manipulation.
Yep. No,
right? And
I
then
know all
so
about
what
that.
ends
I know
up
all
happening?
about manipulation. Yep.
And so what ends up happening is we define this as our quote unquote purpose and shut off everything else and say, no, this is, and now I have the moral high ground because I like helping people, not sport. Well, guess what? Sport would probably relieve a lot of stress in your life, but you don't engage it. And then you help people that don't really need help or were trying to manipulate you, and you increase your stress.
Yeah.
And so like your helping people is actually killing you.
Oh, yeah. No, I've had even my teachers at school. They're like, you need to worry more about you. You need to spend more time in self-care. You need to, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Everything was the need for you. And I've never listened,
Right. Yeah. And so when this one starts, it's easy to stop something before it's set into motion. The moment you have this thought that this is your purpose, this is who you are, like stop it before it's set into motion. Once it starts going in your mind, it's going to get out of control.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, I agree with you. That's why I made the decision I made about, I'm not going to let this stuff change me, take me over. You know what I mean? And that's very important to me, Mm-hmm. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. So, this is
awesome.
Are you good? Hello? Mary? I don't know if I heard you say you lost me. Maybe. I'm not sure. Well, I'm really glad that we were able to have this conversation. It's really tough because, there was a time where I was talking about purpose and I was like, your purpose should be something that you can't achieve if in a lifetime, because it's like, because once you achieve it, then what? But purpose is just living, just being. Allow yourself to be here. You don't need to define things. We didn't have definitions at some point in our history. We just did things. In the history of mankind, there's just things that were being done. There was no purpose behind it. We have all of this logic now that we lean on, and I get it. That logic really kind of gets us to a place where we're where we want to define things. I'm going to go ahead and move over to Julie because I think Mary either stepped away or is having some problems. We picked 64. It's so easy. Hey, Julie.
Hello. I've just been listening. I've sent her a couple of messages on the chat as well to kind of say, yeah, you're not on your own there. I think, one of the things that I sent, and I also sent a message to you, Martin John, too. It was the thing about, it's so relieving, actually, for people like myself to understand there is no purpose. Purpose is such a tool that is really wielded quite heavily in our civilization today.
Yeah, in our commodification of life.
That's right. Yeah, everything is really underlining that we need to have purpose, and it's so refreshing to hear someone say, "There is no purpose."
No,
being alive is what it's about.
And it's always funny to me, but like Mary went directly into the line that we're all fed. Well, if you don't have purpose, then what are you out here doing? I'm living. Isn't that enough?
Yeah, I'm bloody happy to be living. I'm enjoying it.
And it's like when do you just sit and do nothing until you find a purpose? No, you live and then you identify with what you do, and then that closes you off to other things.
I agree.
That's all it does. That's all purpose does.
Yeah, it narrows your vision somewhat.
That's right.
It narrows your perspective.
Now you see the world through this one lens.
Yes, yeah. It's a fascinating thing, and I'm so glad that you said it. I'm going to pick number 65. If Mary's still listening, maybe this will give a little bit more clarity to it, if that's all right.
Yeah, 65, simple awareness.
Simple, that's me.
Simple awareness. So we read It's So Easy, and that laid out this whole idea of, and so that was 64, and then this is 65, the one right after. And I've said this before, you don't have to go through this number 1 to number 81, and it's not something that is linear,
That's
obviously.
right.
However, reading it, and I remember when I wrote this, and I wrote it linearly from 1 through 81, it did have more to offer. But that's more to offer after I'd been reading it for 20 years. So it's not like...
What about the fact that if you thought about what I call the matrix or the weird is my favorite. It's like lines of happenings and experiences weaved by the three witches. And the thing is I see Tao that way. I see these texts that way, that they are all interlinked in one way or another. So even if you picked like 9 and then 25, there's a link. There's a link. And there's also a link between 64 and 65.
And 65. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So 65, entitled Simple Awareness, reads, Masters aren't interested in educating people. They would rather them be yielding and kind. When people put their faith in knowledge, they lack faith in their own awareness. When they are happy to not know, they have no choice but to put faith in themselves. When governing a country, family, or self, avoid being clever and using knowledge to guide you. People are not naturally stupid or submissive. When not leaning on knowledge, all things are guided by awareness.
All things.
As that relates to like the idea of purpose.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the verse that talks about like inspiration will inspire transformation when that transformation acquires a name or an identity. Right? That's what this is sort of addressing. That idea that like you are going to be inspired to be. If you decide to put a name on that which you have been inspired to do, now you like, I don't want to pick on Mary, but we're going to use Mary's identity of having a purpose of helping people. So she was transformed through her experiences to help people. Well, once she became the good helper, which I'm sure she was called when she was young, she decided that this is what she was going to do. So now outside influence is helping her drive the narrow vision of being someone who has a purpose of being helpful. And what it says here is the masters aren't interested in educating people. When you tell somebody that they're a good helper, you're educating them. You're a good helper. You are this. Rather than be yielding and kind, rather than just be who they are. Because you will be inspired to be who you are until you find one thing being exceptionally better. Because you get more love, because you get more attention, because you get more money, because you get more stuff. And then you're like, okay, well, let me lean in on that.
It's like, for me, when I think about that, I think this line, I am not what I do.
That's right.
And it's really, really important for me to kind of distinguish that. within myself, I, Julie, this entity, this living space, I am not what I do. What I do can be seen in the manifestation.
Right.
But I am not it. So Julie's neither kind or evil or any of those things. The things that she does can be seen in the manifestation. That's fine, but I can let go of those things. Mm-hmm. I don't need to be rewarded. Because the thing is when we are doing these things, we already have an idea in our mind what that reward will be. Right. And that is when we become under the influence or manipulated, because we have already set what we think the reward will be for the action that we are going to do out in a manifestation, so that we can somehow or other pull that into the being that is, although it doesn't happen. And we end up chasing this all of the time. It's like me saying that I live in a whirlwind, but somewhere deep in the living part of me, the essence that is me, is stability. So wherever I go, I can be peaceful and be me.
Right.
Not what I do, not what I say, but just me in the experience. That's it. There's no reward.
No. I couldn't imagine there's a reward for being Julie.
Oh, no, good God. What would it be? What would it be? Oh, my golly. That's quite fun, just to think about that. But you can see what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And therefore, when this occurrence in my mind, when this epiphany arrived, if you like, I could let go, and it made life easy. I stopped distinguishing what I thought would be the reward for the action that is not me, so that I have to go and hunt out that reward and bring it into myself. What's that about, Martin John?
You can tell me.
What is that about? So I get to just be. I just get to be. I don't need to tell anyone. I don't have to influence anybody. I don't have to do any of that, because it doesn't matter, because it's all stupid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're speaking my language. When, as this continues, it says, when people put their faith in knowledge, when people put their faith in knowing who you are, knowing your identity, knowing your purpose, knowing all of that, when people put their faith in knowledge.
Can I just say something quickly?
What's
let
that?
me just say something really quickly. Okay, so I've been doing this hypnotherapy course for a long time now, and I'm procrastinating. I don't really want to do it anymore, because I don't want the piece of paper, because I just don't want to have to present it as a knowing. But the problem with it is in the manifestation, other souls and beings and roles and influences want me to prove myself.
Well, I want you to also recognize that you are having the experience that other people want you to prove yourself.
Yes.
Okay, because because I don't want you to prove yourself, so shut your ass.
That's so funny. You're right.
Yes, you might find people that are looking for you to prove yourself, but you're the one that's going to find those people, because that's the experience you're having. Why? Because you are holding on to holding on to a frame of reference.
I want a reward.
Okay, and all of that's fine. Make sure you understand this is your experience, and don't be the victim of someone else's bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, what's this reward about? Can't I just let it go and just be?
Yeah. You also you may have borrowed money so that you can do this, and so you feel responsible for it.
Yes.
You have all these other things. All of these other things notwithstanding.
It was a very expensive course, Martin John.
Right. You need to finish it for other reasons as well. It's not, and sure, get your piece of paper, sure. But you are locked into some contracts that you know, and I say, fulfill your contracts, you know, unless you come to a point where it's just like, I can't, I will do this, but that could weigh on you if you're not properly, if you haven't properly left behind the influences, and if that weighs on you, it's going to guide you into places in which you'll find it difficult.
Yeah.
And the thing is be, you know, like, be upstanding with yourself. Like, understand that this class that you're taking is mired in a whole lot of stuff. Years. Yeah. And, you know, what it said in the beginning of 64 is like, it's easy to stop something before setting it into motion. But once it's set into motion, like, it's easy to plan something before beginning it. It's easy to break something before it's grown strong. It's easy to hide something before it's grown big. This class and your connection with this class has grown. And because it's grown, it's harder to deal with, but you can get through it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's better for you, like, this sounds weird, but it's better for you to suffer than others.
Absolutely.
You know,
I agree.
and this is, and what I mean by that.
That will cause flexibility within me.
Right.
Then. And
absolutely.
Maybe then I will come up with my own kind of reasonings, maybe, for continuing. Maybe I'll enjoy it.
Right.
Wow, what a thought.
That's the thing. Like, you step up to the challenge that you asked for.
Yeah. Stop being a pussy, Julie.
You know, and was it this one or was it mine? I think it was, therefore, and this is 64 again, therefore the master monitors her desire for an outcome. Yeah. She remains as calm at the beginning as at the end so she can see what is in front of her.
Yeah.
Like, you were excited and now you're tired. It's like, that's why we don't get excited. Because you're going to get tired.
Yeah, that energy's like, you wasted that, love.
Yeah.
You need duration. You need kind of like stamina to do the long distance, girl. You don't need to be giving the energy of 100 meters to do a 2,000 meters. All right, Julie, come on, get with it. Martin John, I love talking to you. You just have a way of really giving me a good swift kick up the arse, and I love it.
Well,
thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and read 65 again. That was the one that you had read. And I know you'll be here with me. All right. Love you, dear.
Love you.
Masters aren't interested in educating people. They would rather them be yielding and kind. When people put their faith in knowledge, they lack faith in their own awareness. When they're happy to not know, they have no choice but to put faith in themselves. When governing a country, family, or self, avoid being clever and using knowledge to guide you. People are not naturally stupid or submissive. And when it says that people are not naturally stupid or submissive, that means you too. You're not stupid. You're not submissive. You're you. When not leaning on knowledge, all things are guided by awareness. Be aware of where you are. And Julie has to become aware of, like, the promises she's made, the things that she wanted, and where she is now. And that's going to unfold for her. It's going to unfold for Mary. But if you hang on to a purpose or a vision or an identity, you know, like, it gets tough for Julie, I'm sure, to be in a class because she likes her freedom. Sure, she's her space. She likes to do what she wants to do. Hey, Max, how you doing?
Hey, Martin. I know I'm like very late and you're almost over.
Good.
I just honestly wanted to come on and say hi.
Hey.
And just see how your Monday's going.
Oh, I've been up for a couple hours already, but it's been going really well. The show's going well.
That's
I'll be
good.
working on the mosaic today. Everything's good. Life is easy.
Oh, sweet. A mosaic. That's awesome. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. Very nice. I've also been up for a very long time, so, but it's been a good morning so far. Yeah, my favorite nurse is back from a month-long vacation, so, yeah, so it's really good to see him. And, he's like my biggest advocate and supporter.
Good.
Yeah, so it's really nice to have him back, and I can see him reading all the notes and everything. He's very focused, so I'm leaving him alone. I'm not bothering. I usually bother him a lot, like in like a funny way, but like I'm letting him be and just do what he needs to do right now. And
you've had a big month.
Yes, I have. I've made strides. I've had really shit things happen, but life is good. Life is easy. And, yeah, I'm finding that, things are getting easier to cope with. And, like I had a nightmare last night, but, I got through it and I was up for 5 hours and I made the best of it. And
good.
That was fine. So yeah, that's all I had to really say.
Well, let's pick a number and I'll read it and I'll send you the text and then,
sure.
and then we'll just end it there.
Yeah, let's do, 55.
Ooh, you've picked this one before.
I have?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay.
I know, I think, yeah, I think so. So inner strength and harmony.
Yes, I remember.
One who has inner strength is like a baby boy, unspoiled, flexible, and empty with no judgment. Bees, wild beasts, birds of prey cannot harm him. With no knowledge of the world, his penis can stand erect. He has no shame or question of why. Caught in manifestation, the myriad scream for a time, and he hardly notices. His harmony is so aligned, he also screams forever without getting hoarse. He is powered by his harmony, thus all fear is kept at bay. The master never speaks of possessing anything. Life is the blessing. Those who pursue power and excitement find themselves confused. They allow their emotions to guide them and they become exhausted. This is not Tao, and whatever is not from Tao arrives dead.
Just a quick interject. This part stuck out to me this time was the part where the baby is screaming endlessly, but doesn't get hoarse, yet is in peace and harmony. Yeah. And I feel like my voice was heard and has been heard and is being heard continuously because I'm in harmony, because I'm more in touch with myself and more in tune with myself and what my values are, what my goals are, and they align. And I feel like my team is more receptive to me now, though I'm requesting all these things, I'm saying all these things, I'm, just endlessly wanting more like privileges and things to happen and whatnot. And my team is more receptive to it because I'm showing that I'm at peace. I'm in harmony. I'm with.
Let's take a break. I want to just stop the story for a second because that although that may be true, you have no proof that is why.
Yeah.
Right. So you're making up a story and you're patting yourself on the back, and that's all nice and good. But what really is happening is your team hasn't changed at all.
No, yeah, they really haven't.
They haven't changed. You've changed.
I have.
And because you've changed, you're experiencing your team differently.
Yeah, that's very fair. That's a better way to look at it. That's a much more.
So what it says here is, caught in manifestation, the myriad scream for a time, and he hardly notices. This baby boy hardly notices. And that's what you were doing. You were screaming for a time. You were screaming about one thing or another. However, his harmony is so aligned, he can also scream, but he can scream forever without getting hoarse. And what his screaming is being. And this is what you were doing. You were just being. Now you're being, and you're not having any expectations of things from around you.
Exactly.
He is powered by harmony, and thus fear is kept at bay. When you were screaming for a time,
yes, this is so
you
accurate.
were in fear.
I was in fear of rejection. I was in fear
and you were looking for rejection because you were expecting rejection.
I was expecting, exactly. But now I don't have any expectations. I go into my meetings with no expectations, no, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I just go in and go in.
Yeah.
And say my
line. The next line is, the master never speaks of possessing anything. When you have an expectation, you possess the expectation.
Right.
So you believe other people need to do things for you in a specific way. You possess that. But here it says, the next line, the next couple words are, life is the blessing, because she's not looking to possess anything. Living life is the blessing. Those who pursue power and excitement, which is what you would do in your position, right? You want power. You want to be able to get people to do what you want them to do for you. Exactly. They find themselves confused.
Yes.
They allow their emotions to guide them and then become exhausted.
This one makes so much more sense now. Now that I've read it a second time, now that you've read it a second time, it totally explains my whole time being here. Yes. Thank you.
And we can go back to that whole penis stands erect thing. And we can relate it to this, because it's like, this is not your possession either.
Right.
The little boy doesn't possess that. It's not, that's why he has no question of why it's happening or has any shame for it happening. It's like, this isn't
not his.
It's not me. This is just happening. Just like the same thing with the relationships that you have. This isn't about you. And this is what we were talking about with Julie, where it's just like, you are not your actions. You are not how people respond to you.
No, that this reading makes a lot of sense in a lot of for a majority of my life, actually, not even just in this circumstance of me being here, but for a lot of my life, I hold a lot of expectations, and I have held a lot of expectations, and now I feel like I'm more just go with the flow type of whatever happens, it is what it is type of person.
Life is the blessing.
Yes, exactly. Life is the blessing. Not the rewards, not the disappointments, not the, any of that. Living life is the blessing, and that is 100% true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin John, for this reading again.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right. Well, you have a wonderful day, and I'm gonna.
Thank you. You as well. You as well. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope I feel like I yelled at everybody today. It was not my intention to come on and yell at everybody. But for those that got yelled at, thank you so much for being with me and being open to everything that we talked about. Julie, Mary, Max, thank you. For participating and giving me so much to think about, to be present with. I love you all. Okay. Well, this is Martin John. If you're interested in contacting me outside of here, you can check my links in my profile, all of that stuff. And I am always open to communicate. If you ever wanted to come up and pick a number, I'm open for that as well. This isn't for people that just come on regularly. It's for anybody that's up to just knowing a little bit more about themselves and about living a little bit more of a reasonable life. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Martin John. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.